Atul, so you mentioned some broad subject areas: safety, productivity, quality, sustainability, and supply chain. I'm already learning. Um, are there specific pain points within any of these areas of stuff that you are like actively looking for right now? Um, Perhaps robotic solutions for X or Y, safety solution for A or B.
Yeah. So one, I will give an example that we have actively sort of working on and invested in is this problem of having the right material on the site at the right time. And if you think about that problem, it's an industry-wide problem. It's not just a DPR problem. And I think with the fragmentation that exists in our industry, the transparency of, how materials get procured, how they get specified, how they get approved, how they get manufactured, how they get shipped, how they get on the site. It's all, our project engineers spend a ton of time sort of doing that. And what we see is that many people have, just to get a handle on it, like develop their own Excel spreadsheets or, smart sheets or, all kinds of things, to just keep up with it. Like, process from like, what does the specification say to, getting those approved from the design team to then procuring that through the supply chain, subcontractor suppliers to then making sure that they are showing up when you need and they don't all need to come at one time. They can be spread across multiple months. So what we see is that there's two sources that people usually deal with. It's the schedule that the superintendent has on when stuff is supposed to show up. And then you back up all the way to when those materials are specified. And all of that information, we think people spend an enormous amount of time just trying to do this on their own in Excel. And the other thing we know is that many of these materials sometimes are substituted. Just because somebody specifies something doesn't mean we can install it because the availability might not be there and all that. And all this knowledge gets learned on a project. And we have a whole database of all of this stuff in our project management system. So what we are doing right now is we've invested in a couple of entrepreneurs. We actually ran an idea competition within DPR. We generated about 250 ideas. And we said, hey, if we had $1 million to invest, which idea would we solve? And this was the idea, we call it integrated procurement, was the idea that came up on the top. And what that really means is kind of really extracting this data from the submittals to create your procurement or submittal schedule that then translates into a procurement schedule that's tied to your, master schedule in Primavera, and really getting all this integrated into one sort of a system rather than having all these like data silos. So we invested in a company that is using AI to do a lot of this, like linking of schedules and submittal items and all of those types of things. It's called ConstructIQ. And so that's an area in, broad category of supply chain, but really this, concept of we want to make sure that we can get the right material at the right time to where it's needed. And this is a very common problem that exists across the industry. So that's why we are investing in it.
Brilliant.
So why ConstructIQ won the competition?
Because of a couple things. So we think that I think people were sort of trying to approach this again in kind of a form-based sort of, applications. We looked at a bunch of applications. I think there's ERP systems that are sort of trying to do this. And they basically were also thinking, so these two entrepreneurs were also thinking about a similar problem, but they were coming at it more from a AI first perspective. So like, what can we learn based on the data you already have? And what can we learn that would sort of simplify or automate the various processes? So like, for example, linking your activities to your submittal items or doing what if analysis, within this whole integrated procurement process. So what we thought was that I think this allows us to make that jump into kind of what a next level procurement solution could look like, rather than just a routine, like automating the current process, for us. So that's why we, invested in them.